Hello, good afternoon. I'm Elena Martinez and I want to present the CLIL lesson following the procedure established by ICOLE subject from Master de Secundaria. I've chosen the same unit that I developed for the subject Didáctica General in order to compare and pay attention to the difference between the planning strategies in a non-linguistic subject with a CLIL lesson. The unit chosen is Graphic Expression and Communication. It's located in the third of ESO, in the subject of technology, and is usually planned with a total of 6 or 7 sessions. But in this task, I will only develop the fourth one. The legislation followed is the LOMCE, and the local one is the Comunidad Valenciana. This is an important unit because it's all related with the technical communication project and is quite different depending on each culture. And we are going to see all these kind of styles and these kind of strategies of drawings using the secondary language. I'm gonna develop 2 documents, one to defend the structure and the strategies of the unit, and one that will be the student document that also, if it were something official, a professional illustrator will do it better than me, but I wanted just to get an idea about what I wanted to represent. So let's start. We are going to start with the competencies that we can find in the LOMCE, but explaining that these two are, the first one is divided in these two, both related with the ability to express feeling and the understanding, and of course inside they are going to use the mother tongue, but we have to pay attention to try to teach them and reinforce the use of a foreign language. Each competence has a letter that are going to appear in the description of the activity. So if we are working in a cooperative activity, probably we will find the letter F in the description of the activity. The same happened with the contents. I divided the contents in 3, the concepts, procedures, and attitudes, and the concepts in 2. The content learning focus on the graphic and communication teaching, and the language learning that are related with the structure that they are going to practice with the task during the unit. The procedures and the attitude will help us to value the quality, the participation, the strategies used to develop the task, and we can evaluate these strategies. Also happen with the aims. They are divided in 3, the global goals, the content objectives, and language objectives. As in the competence, they are related with a letter and a number. So if, for example, a task use different techniques of graphical representation, in the description it's going to appear the letter C with the number 2. So in each activity, I try to develop and to work the most number of the aims. Of course, the same with the criteria for assessment, taking into account the ones that appear in the LOMCE, and the evaluation system that I'm gonna use, starting with the initial evaluation with the pre-tasking activity, where we can guess and we can take an idea about the initial level of the students. During all the tasks, we are gonna evaluate them in a summative way. Each task is gonna use and is gonna take part in the final evaluation. And in some points of the unit, we are gonna use the formative assessment to check how the students are acquiring the knowledge and the contents and using the language, etc. The methodologies used are overall active methodology, where student participation is the most important thing. Of course, I pay attention to a meaningful learning in order to can relate the tasks proposed with real situations. Very important, the cooperative learning, because with these strategies they learn how to work in teams, and it's the way that they are gonna work in the future. But paying attention to the way that we create the groups, because overall using a secondary language is important that in the same group we can find a more capable student, others in a medium level in the general group, and other students with learning difficulties. And they are going to work always with the ones that they have in the side or in front of them, avoiding working directly with the opposite corner, because we have to try to avoid the difference and the frustrations and get an easygoing environment. The assessment activities that we have mentioned are going to be done in a motivated way, using the concept "bring your own device" to get the attention of the students and truly information about the level that they are acquiring, using something attractive to them, like the mobile or the computers, and some kinds of formative assessments in a funny way, fighting each other and making a competition. All the tasks follow the scaffolding strategy. For me, it's essential to have this increasing of level, and it's gonna be increasing in two directions. In the whole structure of the unit, starting with the easier one and increasing the level, but inside some of the activities, the student can get more level working a more difficult task inside the main activity. Of course, in each activity is going to appear this icon to show the level, and inside the activity, if there are some steps with more level, they are going to appear with the icon. And the Bloom taxonomy is always present in each activity, because the structure to scaffolding is also following this increasing. We are going to start with the pre-tasking activity, working with the remember, and we are going to finish with the activity creating new object and new views. And here you have a summarize about the COIS forces framework, where you can find the content that we are going to work, the strategies of cognition that we are going to use, why it's important, the culture that they are going to learn, and how they are going to exchange the information using the key vocabulary, the structures to give opinions, to create instructions, and the way that they are going to learn using this second language. Here you can find the general planning, the 4 sessions that I'm going to develop with the task, the timing, the participants, because it's, you can work with the whole class, you can work in pairs, individually, or both, depending on the step that you are in the task. And of course the place. Sometimes in technology you use or the classroom or the atelier. So we are gonna go changing. And here you have the description of the activities, here in the session 1 and 2, we continue with the 1, and the 2, 3 and 4. This activity is quite long because it's divided in phases, and we need time to develop it. It's a very motivated activity, I think, because it absorb the contents, and they are gonna practice speaking, listening, all the contents about drawing. But we are gonna see it in the student document that is more visual. Here, what I wanted to show is that in each activity we can find the competencies that we are gonna work, the objectives, the evaluation criteria, learning standards, if it's an assessment, what kind of assessment it is, for example here, what kind of methodologies, if it uses the scaffolding system and the language skills that they are going to work. So, and at the end they are going to find the rubric to evaluate themselves and to understand the evaluation of the teacher. So I'm gonna go fast to the student document. Here you can find the activities. This would be the pre-tasking activity with the key words related with some pictures. And here, for example, we mix the content learning with the language learning, because if they recognize some place or they want to express an opinion or a story about the place, they are going to use the past simple or the past perfect and all these structures. All the unit is going to be developed like this, with the content activity and some steps if they want to go in a higher platform. And this activity is going to be developed during the whole unit. So they have to pay attention to the words to the book. Some kind of activities to practice the content, but for example, this one is more directly related with the content. But here we are going to practice, for example, the intensive reading and the strategy of survey question, prediction, reading, reformulating, and survey. Here they have the steps to get it and the text to analyze. More activities to practice the content, but talking about if it's true or false, and again the scaffolding, you can do this activity, but if you finish, you can improve doing for example, the correction in pairs is very important, because although the work can be individual, not as we are going to see now, but normally or usually the work can be individual, the correction and the exchange of information, talking, listening, or maybe helping each other with drawings, they are gonna get this ability to practice the language skill. For me, one of the best activity of the unit is this one, because with all the contents that we have learned, we are going to practice with in a funny way, because they are going to develop by groups some similar tasks than they have done before, but changing the documentation that they develop to the other group, and they are going to receive the